Hello, and welcome to Simulations in Entertainment. My name is Rodrigo Rod R. Obando. So first things first, you're going to learn a little bit about me. We're going to talk a little bit about what the project's going to cover, the history of the simulations in the entertainment industry, types of simulations in the entertainment industry, and then other areas that have simulations or use similar things. And then we're going to wrap it all up. So, as I said, my name is Rodrigo Obando. I prefer going by Rod. My middle name is Rafael. I graduated from Columbus State University in May 2014 with my bachelor's in applied computer science. The applied track in computer science consists of mainframe and web development. Work history: I was a research assistant for Dr. Christopher Whitehead for about a year, doing all sorts of projects that involve areas of web and security. Then I moved on and got a position as a student assistant on the UITS web team. There I helped assist move into the web. We moved the current site into a more responsive, so be able to see it on your phone a lot better. Worked in retail here and there. My first big job was I got hired at the Columbus State University's registrar's office as a student record specialist in 2016, so I've been there about 4 years. Some major projects I've done were help with the prerequisites of the courses so students can register without being told they can't, or just say, hey, I want to register for this class, but when they can't, in reality they can. Build the database that stores all their majors and programs that for the students to be coded correctly, and learned a few new tricks that I didn't know prior to getting the job. I'm expected to graduate May 2020 with my master's in applied computer science with a focus in software development. So, what triggered my interest in the subject of simulations entertainment, or modeling and simulation? Well, last spring I took a course called CPSC 6107, or Computer Science 6107, which is called a Survey of Modeling and Simulation. There I use software called Arena and other software to make simulations of various different things, whether it be an ATM machine, or people in a bank, or people going through security in an airport. I learned that I actually enjoyed it, and then researching an area that I really enjoyed, being entertainment, so like gaming and movies, I realized like a lot of things that I like involve modeling and simulation. So when it came to my last semester of grad school, this current spring, I wanted to continue the project with the professor that was teaching it, Dr. Anastasia Angelopoulos. So she took me on, and we currently doing CPSC 6899, Computer Science 6899 independent study, to continue this project to see where else these simulations go to an extent. So what I'm going to show you all is a clip from the movie The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. This movie was released in December 2002, and for its time it had effects that have never been seen before, such as the creature Gollum. But the one I'm going to show you all is the climactic battle sequence between the armies of Isengard and the combined forces of the elves and their hero. The opening sequence to the Battle of Helm's Deep.
Your friends are with you, Aragorn.
Let's hope they last the night.
faila sahih. An uben tanna fare faila.
What's happening out there?
Shall I describe it to you? Or would you like me to find you a box?
So it begins.
Paigibar, Dinalank, Anurak.
Did they hit anything?
Keep them at volley.
Send them to me! Come on! Forward!
How does one recreate 10,000 plus troops without using extras or recreate multiple elves? The answer is with simulations. It is the responsibility of the computer graphics artist to make this happen, or what we call movie magic. By using agents to make it different kinds of enemies or other races, they are able to replicate a scene to make it look like 10,000 plus troops. When did simulations first start in the entertainment industry? Where are we now with simulations in the entertainment industry? Where can we go? Where can the simulations go from here? Simulations are used in everyday life. One of the biggest simulations are in the entertainment industry. Entertainment is defined as action, providing or being provided with amusement or enjoyment. Areas of video games and the film industry are prime examples where simulations are used for training or replication of characters. This project will focus on how simulations are used in the entertainment industry, primarily focusing on video games and movies. Any current movie that has an epic battle sequence uses simulations to replicate the people in the scene. This saves on time on finding millions of extras. This project will even cover more recent movies like Bohemian Rhapsody that use this effect to simulate crowds in an arena. This is important to study because the entertainment industry is ever growing and provides many improvements in technology. It is important to stay up to date with what the entertainment industry is doing. So, when did simulations first start? How far back does this date? Around 1960. 1960, rendering a planned highway of a 49-second vector animation of a car traveling down a planned highway at 110 km an hour. 1971. Peter Folds, who used the world's first keyframe animation software to make an experimental 2D animated short drawn on a data tape. 1977. We're all familiar with this movie, and it definitely changed how things are done. Star Wars, an episode 4, A New Hope, used 3D wireframe graphic for a trench run briefing sequence. So when they're being briefed, right there, down to the creation of the explosions, or they made the models, destroyed them. There goes people's hard work right there to make that final sequence happen. 1979, Alien used a raster wire frame model to render the navigation monitors on the landing sequence. Now, 1982 was quite the year. Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, a company called Industrial Light and Magic, ILM, developed the Genesis effect using a particle system. This is the first use of a practical generated landscape in a film. Also, Tron was the first movie to have a 15 minutes of 3D computer graphics of CGI for the light cycle sequence. 1986, Star Trek does it again. Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home had the first use of cyberware 3D scanner for 3D morphing. 1991, Terminator 2: Judgment Day had the first realistic human movements on a CGI character and had multiple morphing effects. Yep, the Terminator was able to turn himself from a human into a seamless slime. 2001, The Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring. First use of an AI for digital actors. Wedo Digital made software massive for this movie, and this proceeded on to all the other Lord of the Rings movies, and many other movies have used this. 2004, Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow was the first movie with all CGI backgrounds and live actors. 2014, The Hobbit: The Battle of the Five Armies used CGI to replicate the armies, just similar to what the Two Towers did, as you saw, but this was at a larger scale. 2018, Bohemian Rhapsody, which is about band Queen and their rise and fall in the music industry. The movie used people to replicate the crowd of the Live Aid's concert. 2019, that's going into last year's stuff now. A game called Days Gone used replication to make hordes of freaks. Freaks are zombies, is what the game called it. And Avengers Endgame used replication to make the battle sequence. Types of simulations. Particle systems. Particle systems describe modeling techniques, rendering techniques, and even types of animation. In fact, the definition of a particle system seems to depend on the application that is used for. An early example of a particle system was in Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. It was used to make the Genesis demo sequence to demonstrate the transformation of death and other effects of the bomb, or Genesis, hitting a planet. It used a two-level hierarchy system. The top level was the impact of the bomb, and the bottom level was the impact effect. In 1980s, particle systems were commonly used in video games to make fire, waterfalls, fog, grass and bubbles, etc. A game by LucasArts called Secret Weapons of Luthenwald is an example that uses particle system to replicate fire, grass, and weather effects. In the late 1990s, was the start of the new video game franchise called Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. This game revolutionized not only gaming but the particle system too. Kids wanted to play a skateboarding game as real as possible. With the collaborative efforts of Tony Hawk and other skateboarders, an everyday kid's dream came true. In order to maintain the T rating that the game had, the blood of the skateboarder had to be very mild. The developer developed a particle system to simulate specks of blood coming out of the skateboarder when a skateboarder would fall. This right here is the Genesis bomb effect. As you can see, it shows the several stages of the pre-visualization of it, from the impact of the plant to the initial explosion, from the angle of it to when it's finally taken off. Right here you see some pictures from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. You see the lettering falls in red to simulate the blood, and there you see blood specks coming out as the particle system goes. Now I'm going to show you a brief clip, courtesy of my brother Anthony Obando, who is a computer science education major here, of how the game demonstrates simulations. A very common simulation used in the entertainment industry is crowd replication. This is used to replicate large amounts of crowds, such as animals, armies, etc. It is very common with live-action animated films. The most known crowd replication was in 1994 with The Lion King. The wildebeest stampede scene took 2 years to create a 2.5-minute sequence. This scene replicated a large amount of wildebeest traveling down a valley. The wildebeest were 3D created objects and then multiplied into hundreds of wildebeests. Other examples of movies with crowd replication are Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, The Battle of Helm's Deep, and The Hobbit: The Battle of the Five Armies, the final battle sequence. A most recent example of crowd replication is Bohemian Rhapsody. This was used to recreate the Live Aid concert. This also included a 3-hierarchy particle system. The first part was to record the band members who were playing the band members of Queen. The second part was to record the different groups of people reacting to the band playing other gestures. The third part was the different camera angles. The groups of people were then replicated using computer graphics and dispersed into the arena where the Live Aid concert was taking place. Then band members was added in, and so were the camera angles. Most recent uses of replication are Days Gone and Avengers Endgame. Days Gone is a post-apocalyptic game about an injection created to make stronger humans, but then turns people into freaks, or what we call zombies. You play as a character named Deacon St. John. His mission is to find a way to get rid of the freaks. One of the side missions you can do is to take down a horde, and a horde is a massive amount of freaks that come at you, and you have to take them down. Hordes consist of hundreds of freaks. You have to strategize on how to take these down. Hordes can take these hordes down. because each horde has a different agent that makes the freaks act differently. The agents are each a group of freaks. Last year, the ending of the Avengers Infinity Saga occurred with the movie Avengers Endgame. The final sequence is an epic battle sequence where all of the heroes we have seen, and some we haven't, come down to take down Thanos and his army. To bring a scene of this scale to life, it required replication. Most of Thanos' armies are the same agent and thus easy to replicate. When replicating the Avengers army, it required multiple agent types. The designers had to make several agents to bring the scene to life. In the end, you got to see a massive battle sequence. Here you see the before and after shot of the Live Aid concert that was filmed for Bohemian Rhapsody. On the left is a stage that was built to put the actors on, and on the right you see the final sequence where all the agents of people attending the concert were added. Here is the Avengers Endgame shots. On the left is a pre-visualization of what the scene was prior to adding all the characters in, and on the right you see the final sequence. Here are some shots from the game Days Gone, where you see Deacon St. John, the main character you play as, being chased by hordes, or freaks, massive amounts of them. So, you're about to see a brief gameplay of Days Gone, of how the hordes interact, and how they are prior to coming at you.
That's another one that calls a bunch of them on you. Okay.
Finally.
Alright, so we got like multiple hordes here, but this is the one I'm gonna go conquer. Let's pull up my sniper rifle, see what we can see. That is a relatively small horde, but we're gonna trigger them to get them to come at me. Unless there's... okay, good. You see, they're all interacting with one another. This should be relatively easy to take out, but that is not the point I'm going to prove here today. We're not going to be the hero today. So, let's... hey! Hey, guys! Run at me! What my bike? Whee! Come at me! Gonna stop here. Gonna pop up again. I'm gonna really try to make them mad. My stamina's pretty high. My health is pretty high. I can take them. But as you see, they're all moving around. They're just... each of these are agents. They're used to reproduce. Different kinds of zombies, or freaks as the game calls them. As you can see, the horse slowly coming at me. Let's do this! As you can see, the horde is halfway done. As you see, throughout the game they get stronger, they get a lot better. You learn about what's going on with them. So this is just not your average zombie game. But let's just see how far we can get with this horde. Oh, nuts! Let's heal up. Let's see what other throwables I got. Oh, nuts. Yeah, let's beat the nigga on, why won't we? Like... So there is actually a 600-man whole free horde you gotta take out in the game. And you have to plan out strategically how to do it. And camping sometimes is not the best, but sometimes you're gonna have to do that. As you can see, they're all registered to come at me. These agents, that freaks, whatever you want to call them. But as you see, my motorcycle has. Let's heal up. Go for some ammunition. Oh crap.
So we've looked at particle systems, crowd replication, but there are many other areas where simulations are used in the entertainment industry. So we're going to explore some of these other areas. So motion capture is a big one that uses it. I had the opportunity to talk to Milisanthi Mahat during over the past few weeks about her experiences working in the game Assassin's Creed Odyssey. She plays one of the characters you play as called Cassandra. So, the game that uses simulations within their game is Assassin's Creed. The concept of Assassin's Creed is to use a device called the Animus to access your ancestor's memory and to simulate the memory and put you in the memory as your ancestor. Every Assassin's Creed game takes place in a different time period. What is the process for game developers and actors to make this a reality? I had the opportunity to talk to Milisanthi Mahat, who plays Cassandra in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which takes place in ancient Greece. I first asked her, how is the process of motion capture? Do you get to see the animated character right away? She told me they create an avatar based upon what is captured on the motion capture suit. The animators connect the dots and take the body of the avatar and use it to animate the character. Milisanthi said this takes about a week to see the final product. My second question was, do you get to see the scene you'll be working in? Milisanthi told me they see a picture of the particular place they will be working in. She then grabbed from her desk 2 markers and proceeded to explain. Say this is the width of the space, using the markers to show the space. You picture in your mind that you can't leave that space. Then you make your motion based upon where you are at, like a temple. My final question was, so in Assassin's Creed Syndicate, this game takes place in Victorian London. you had twin assassins, Jacob and Evie, who you can play as at any time in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. But in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you choose from the start if you play as Cassandra or Alexios. What was the process to make it work? She explained that at the start of every day, she and her coworker would flip a coin to see who would go first. Then person A would do the scene, and then person B would have to do the same exact movements down to the second. Well, Asante said this was new technology they were using, where person B could see what person A did and then mimic what they did. Once all of this is finished, a computer graphics artist takes the information of the characters and animate them. They create the scenery and add background characters replication to the scene. And as you can see, simulations are heavily used to make Assassin's Creed happen. So you can see here is on the top left is a photo I took while I was interviewing Asante. On the top right is her with the actor that plays Alexios in the mocap suits. Bottom right is how similar she looks to her character, and then on the bottom left is one of the battle sequences where you can see massive replications, and there with the one that stands out the most is Cassandra herself. So briefly talk about motion capture and how someone, or should I say Melisante, used it to help out the animators and make replications. But what other areas? I mean, there's plenty more we can talk about. Simulations are also used in other areas of entertainment, such as amusement parks, in music, and training for the military. Amusement parks use programs to design rides prior to building them in the parks. These simulations are used to test the physics, gravity, and other parts of the rides that make it all possible to execute. Games such as Roller Coaster Tycoon allow children to simulate this by letting them design their own rides for an amusement park. Musicians use simulations to practice their performances. They find a room about the same distance as the area they'll be performing. The military uses simulations to replicate actual scenarios for training. So there you can see at the top picture of simulation roller coaster. At the bottom is our military being trained by simulations. So one other area we're going to talk about is education. So for students or people who are interested in working simulations, considering the software the entertainment industry uses is very pricey. In Computer Science 6107 Server Model Simulation, we design simulations using Arena and AnyLogic. Arena is a discrete event simulation and automation software developed by Systems Modeling and acquired by Rockwell Automation in 2000. AnyLogic is a multi-method simulation modeling tool developed by the AnyLogic company and uses agents and discrete event simulations. Unity is another software that uses simulations via the Unity repository system. Alright, wrapping it up. In conclusion, one of the biggest uses of simulations is in the entertainment industry, movies and video games. There is a long history of simulations being used that dates back to the 1980s. Particle systems and crowd replications are two examples of simulations that are used in the entertainment industry. Examples of a particle system is the Genesis bomb explosion from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. An example of crowd replication is the Live Aid concert from Bohemian Rhapsody. Also, simulations are used in amusement parks to make sure rides will be possible to be made. Musicians use simulations to practice their music, and the military use simulations to train our soldiers. Filmmakers and game developers are always looking for ways to improve filmmaking and game design by using simulations.